Hey, this is Dr. Andy with AG Thrive, and I am really excited to bring what I think is a very powerful piece of information or a three-step process on how to forgive effectively, which without a doubt will help you to grow the life, love, family, and success you want. Because personally and professionally, I think the ability to forgive and to work through that process is essential to doing any of those things, right? Although I'm going to acknowledge right away, forgiveness is tricky, and so trying to cover this in 5 minutes or less is going to be a challenge. I'm going to do my best. So the first part of that, the first step, is letting go of injustice or canceling a debt. That's what we'll refer to that too. The second step is about radical responsibility or taking a personal inventory. And the third step in this process is choosing love or focusing on acceptance. So there's kind of the three steps we're going to cover, right? So the first step, letting go of injustice. The reason why I bring this up is because the part of the brain that makes it difficult to forgive and that gets triggered when you feel like someone has kind of like wronged you, right? And I get sometimes forgiving someone, like I know there's some awful things that happen out there and it can be incredibly difficult to forgive. And what I've heard in my practice and working with clients is that if I forgive this person or this thing, right, that happened, then I feel like I'm saying it's okay, right? Or I feel like I'm letting that person off the hook, or that I'm giving them permission to do this again in some way, right? Because it's really triggering this part of the brain that's very primitive, which means it shoots very fast, much quicker than our rational brain, that's related to the concept of like justice or fairness, right? And I think that makes it very difficult because you want to hold on to this idea of that things should be fair or just, and when they're not, there's almost that righteous sense of like anger, injustice, indignation that triggers that can make it difficult to get to forgiveness. So what I'm asking here, I think the etymology, the word of forgiveness, it's related to this idea of like canceling a debt, right? So in the absence of forgiveness, it's like I have this debt, this injustice, right, that's been done to me. And holding on to it can feel powerful in some ways, but it ends up holding the person, carrying it, prisoner, right? You're stuck in kind of this injustice or holding on to the debt. So what I'm asking is that you be willing or open-minded to releasing that, to let go of the injustice, to cancel it. And sometimes forgiveness becomes tricky because just that word, I think, is like really, highly charged. So if we want to substitute the word acceptance, I'm totally okay with that. And I think that can be a powerful way to frame it instead. But choosing to release that injustice for a later step is essential to working towards forgiveness, right? Step 2 is about radical like accountability or personal inventory. And I'm not suggesting in this that, some really horrible, atrocious things that can happen are your fault, right? I'm not saying that. At the same point, when you feel like someone's wronged you and you hold on to that, like that, I kind of felt victimized in that, it just keeps you stuck in this powerless state, right? So I think it's very powerful to just try and take a personal inventory of what was my contribution to this, right? And maybe I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or I don't know what that might be, but I know for my own life and in the clients I work with, if you can get to that point of trying to take responsibility for every aspect of your life, right? And then choosing to say like, how have I maybe contributed to this is an incredibly empowering thing to do. And so doing that empowers you to work towards forgiveness and letting go, which is remarkably liberating, right? So now we're moving to step 3, and it's about choosing love or, really embracing acceptance. Because that's what forgiveness really is, right? It's often not even about the other person. In a spectrum of forgiveness, there's like reconciliation, which definitely involves another person and requires them to be accountable too. But that's not always achievable, right? And sometimes you might just need to cut that person out of your life. If someone's consistently wronged you and they're unhealthy and they're not willing to take responsibility for their behavior, you might have to make that choice that I forgive you, but I also don't want to be in a relationship with you, right? But the act of forgiving of forgiveness is about saying, I don't deserve to like hold on to this debt, to this like anger, this, resentment or whatever it might be anymore. I'm releasing that because I deserve to be happy, right? I deserve to have a life free from this. And by releasing it, it sets me free. It like releases all this energy, this toxicity. And so now I can really embrace, moving forward with my life. And that's the gift that like I want to like try and give you, that I think is incredibly powerful to exercise in your core relationships and in your life. But is that, so the 3 steps again in, really practicing forgiveness are: 1, canceling a debt or releasing injustice. The second step is like radical accountability or doing a personal inventory. And the third step is choosing love or acceptance. And it's really more about your own personal journey or personal self-love. So there you go. That's Dr. Andy helping you, wishing you all the best. Thanks.